As 2025 nears its end, four nationwide shaking events are unfolding simultaneously in China. As 2025 approaches its close, China is witnessing four major events unfolding at the same time, each one shaking the country in a different way. On the streets of Changsha, food delivery riders rise up collectively. A yellow cloak in the night becomes the most ironic royal robe imaginable. In a Ningbo hospital, a surgery that should never have been performed takes the life of a 5-month-old baby, Xiao Luoxi, piercing the moral bottom line of parents across China. At the Nanjing Museum, cultural relics go missing and appear at auction, prompting Chinese netizens to say, perhaps for the first time, thank goodness for the British Museum. And in Zhejiang, business tycoon Yu Faxiang is arrested, a 100 billion yuan empire collapses overnight, more than 800 million shares are frozen in an instant, leaving tens of thousands of investors crying for help. Institutional failure, unchecked power, and the collapse of public trust, who can people still believe in? And how will they respond? Let us tell you these four stories. Changsha, from a delivery ban to a collective uprising. A major incident recently erupted in Changsha. It began as nothing more than a seemingly ordinary dispute over a residential delivery restriction. No one expected it to escalate into a collective uprising by delivery riders, late-night police reinforcements, and a sweeping online blackout. At noon on December 22, outside the Henan Pulley residential complex in Changsha, a group of delivery riders protested what they called a double standard policy enforced by property management. Residents were allowed to ride electric scooters in and out, while delivery riders were required to walk or push their bikes. The riders questioned, "We're all riding electric bikes, why are we the only ones not allowed in?" A physical altercation broke out between riders and security guards, and one guard was knocked to the ground. Someone at the scene shouted at the riders, "You don't even treat yourselves like human beings," instantly igniting their anger. Videos show that participants included riders from Meituan and Alibaba-affiliated Taobao flash delivery. During the conflict, riders were beaten and treated unfairly. Hundreds of fellow riders from across the city rushed to the scene after hearing the news. Convoys of electric scooters surrounded the complex, honking horns and chanting slogans, demanding a response from the community. What began as a small protest quickly snowballed. A single group message was enough. Riders from surrounding areas mobilized like they had heard a rallying cry. Many bystanders cheered, made way for them, or gave thumbs up as the riders sped past. Someone remarked, "Delivery riders mobilize faster than the police." The protest continued from the daytime of December 22 into the early morning of the 23rd. Riders entered what they called party mode, circling in the middle of the road. Someone ceremonially draped an injured rider in a yellow cloak, emblazoned with the words, "Why do you not kneel when you see the emperor?" The protest instantly turned into a massive historical parody. The rider, wearing the cloak, rode circles on his electric scooter in the middle of the road, becoming the undisputed star of the scene. Laughter, applause, and frantic filming erupted all around. Police and platforms step in. As the protest continued, police forces began to gather. Reports said regular police, SWAT units, and traffic police were all deployed and arrived in succession. Some officers pointed at riders who were filming and ordered them to leave immediately. Officials were reportedly present in the early hours of the 23rd. Authorities then cut off nearby streetlights and building lights and forcibly dispersed riders and onlookers. Multiple live streams were shut down one by one, Douyin accounts were suspended, and searches on Baidu yielded no related information. As of 7 a.m. on December 23, air raid sirens were reportedly heard near the scene, suggesting the situation had not fully subsided. At the same time, Meituan abruptly announced a suspension of deliveries to the affected complex. When users searched for Henan Pulley in the app, it displayed, "Delivery service temporarily unavailable." Online debate exploded. Some criticized the platform, they profit from riders' blood and sweat, then hide when trouble comes. Others defended the complex, electric bikes aren't allowed in because they might hit elderly people or children. Still others pointed directly at authorities, create conflicts, then solve them with stability maintenance. The Changsha incident reveals that delivery riders have become a latent collective force. China now has 14 million delivery riders, equivalent to the population of a mid-sized country. Their youth, online organization via WeChat groups, and rapid mobilization capacity are sufficient to evolve into large-scale collective action. For the CCP, this force could become a fuse for social instability. After all, when people at the bottom have nowhere left to retreat, that is the regime's deepest fear. Ningbo, a surgery that should never have happened. From the shouts on Changsha streets, the camera turns to an operating room in Ningbo. If delivery riders were fighting for dignity, this next case pierces the deepest nerve of all parents, because the protagonist is a 5-month-old infant, Xiao Luoxi. In recent days, countless parents across China have been asking the same question. Why did a surgery that never should have been performed take a child's life? On November 14, 2025, at Ningbo University-affiliated Women and Children's Hospital, doctors told Xiao Luoxi's parents that the child had a coronary sinus atrial septal defect and urgently needed minimally invasive heart surgery, claiming it would take 2 or 3 hours. Instead, the surgery lasted 7 hours. Xiao Luoxi never woke up. That night, many parents said they cried just reading the news. This isn't an accident, it's a nightmare no parent should ever have to endure. Autopsy report shocks the nation, a surgery that was unnecessary. A recently released autopsy report by senior forensic experts shattered public perception and ignited outrage nationwide. The report revealed that Xiao Luoxi's actual heart defect measured only 3 mm, and there was no medical basis for the hospital's claims of a coronary sinus atrial septal defect or unroofed coronary sinus syndrome that would necessitate surgery. When Xiao Luoxi's mother received the report, she said only 4 words: pain beyond endurance. She accused the hospital not of medical malpractice, but of murder. She said doctors had claimed the surgery was successful and tricked the parents into signing documents, while in reality the incision between the child's ribs had not even been properly sutured, only the skin was stitched as a formality. Any parent would collapse upon seeing such evidence. The grief pierced parents nationwide. Celebrities and public figures stepped forward. Xiao Luoxi's mother's anguished cries on social media made silence impossible. Renowned philanthropist and singer Han Hong wrote angrily, "This case is wrong beyond belief. The child is too pitiful." Actor Wang Jinsong reposted Han Hong's message and spoke out for Xiao Luoxi. Was this an accident or gross negligence? It enrages both humans and gods. The phrase, enrages both humans and gods, became the collective voice of parents everywhere. Parents speak out in unison. Starting on December 19 and 20, parents across China seemed to be struck by the same chord. One choked-up voice recording said, "A single spark can start a prairie fire. We speak out for Xiao Luoxi, and for all children." Voices echoed one after another, coalescing into a powerful wave of public opinion. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Children are a parent's bottom line. What if that were my child? China's medical black hole, people said, must not be tolerated. As the case spread, more local parents came forward. A Ningbo netizen, Xiao Lu, revealed that the same hospital had pressured her child into surgery with absurd claims: if you don't operate, the child won't grow tall, will lose bladder control, and will have intellectual problems. She took her child to Shanghai for a second opinion, where a doctor said chillingly, "Your child is completely normal. No surgery is needed at all." Across many cities, a spontaneous trend emerged. Car owners began placing stickers on their vehicles reading, "Please pay attention to the Ningbo Xiao Luoxi case." The words appeared on streets, highways, and parking lots everywhere. It was not a protest, but a silent one. A muted fury. And a resolute declaration. This cannot just be brushed aside. Nanjing Museum, at least the British Museum, is safer. While parents demanded truth for their children, trust in China's cultural heritage system was collapsing elsewhere. To many people's shock, Chinese netizens began saying, "It's safer to keep relics in Britain." China's cultural sector was rocked by revelations that artifacts from the Nanjing Museum had been sold by a former director. Even more striking was the reaction online. Many people openly said, "Thank the British Museum," or "It's fine if the real pieces are in Britain, at least they won't be sold, as long as we can still see them." The comment stung, but it voiced deep resignation. The scandal was triggered when a Ming Dynasty painting, Spring in Jiangnan, which should have been in Nanjing Museum storage, appeared at a Beijing auction with an estimated price of 88 million yuan. The painting was a donated piece. How did it end up at auction? In 1959, collector Pang Leichen's descendant Pang Zengyi donated 137 paintings from the Pang family collection to the museum. This year, descendants discovered not only Spring in Jiangnan missing, but 4 other works as well. The museum's response was even more disturbing. It claimed the 5 paintings had been identified as forgeries more than 60 years ago and had already been disposed of. The Pang family was furious. They donated genuine works, only to be told they were fake. Then what was appearing at auction? Pang Zengyi's daughter Pang Shuling said, "I want the paintings back, and I want to know who smuggled these relics out." Whistleblower accuses former director of swapping real for fake. On December 21, amid mounting public debate, Guo Lidian, a 69-year-old retired employee of the Nanjing Museum, made a real name accusation. He alleged that former director Su Huping had engaged in large-scale theft and smuggling of national treasures relocated from the Forbidden City during wartime, bribing Jiangsu officials as protection, resulting in the loss of thousands of artifacts. Guo said that since 2008, more than 40 museum employees had jointly reported the issue multiple times. The matter even reached internal Xinhua reference reports, yet it was all suppressed. Netizens felt a chill. So it wasn't that nothing happened, it was that exposure wasn't allowed. The British Museum holds around 23,000 Chinese artifacts, with 2,000 on permanent display. In the past, Chinese citizens often complained they were stolen. No one leaves the British Museum smiling. After the Nanjing scandal, the tone flipped overnight. At least they're safe. The real ones won't mysteriously disappear. Now I understand why our artifacts survived in Britain. This is irony born of pain. Commentator Liang Hongda said bluntly that the incident severely damaged the regime's credibility. Cultural relics had become tools of interest transfer, shaking trust not just in museums but in the entire system, much like how the Guomimi scandal once destroyed trust in the Red Cross. On December 23, state media announced that the National Cultural Heritage Administration had formed a task force to investigate the Nanjing Museum. Online reactions were scathing. Do they dare to investigate? Investigate further and you'll find out how many museums have real items left. Some museums might be wondering how to conveniently catch fire. These were not jokes, they hit the core of the pain. Zhejiang tycoon Yu Faxiang arrested, over 800 million shares frozen overnight. Before the dust settled on the cultural scandal, a financial empire collapsed. On December 22, 3 listed companies under Xiang Yuan Group simultaneously announced that founder Yu Faxiang had been placed under criminal coercive measures by Shaoxing police for suspected crimes. More than 800 million shares were frozen at the same time. At the heart of it all, a 200 billion yuan financial explosion. Yu Faxiang, born in 1971, ranked number 465 on the 2025 Huruan Rich list with a net worth of 14.5 billion yuan. His Xiangyuan empire spanned tourism, theme parks, infrastructure, and real estate, a textbook Zhejiang success story. It unraveled rapidly. In late November, financial products on the Zhejiang Financial Center platform, guaranteed by Yu and Xiangyuan, failed to pay out. The sum was not millions, but over 200 billion yuan, affecting nearly 10,000 investors. Courts moved swiftly. Core shareholders saw 612 million shares frozen, with another 462 million under pending freeze. The empire was effectively sealed shut with one click. Investors asked the same question: can the money be recovered? Frankly, it looks unlikely. One investor wrote, "I don't hate that he couldn't run. I hate that I didn't run sooner." Another said it best. In China, you're not afraid of losing some money, you're afraid of the double kill of financial collapse plus criminal detention. For events, one shared powerlessness. For events. 4 kinds of anger. Different people, different cities, but the same sense of helplessness. More and more people no longer believe the system will self-correct. And that is precisely why these voices, these exposures, and these questions matter more now than ever before.